Oh,
Go ahead.
I still don't think that the games desensitize them because they're not realistic, they're animated. I think that kids are smart enough to know the difference. I just think there's a big difference in playing a video game, pushing a button, as opposed to actually killing someone in real life, or just seeing. There's a big difference between that and watching it on a video game and knowing that it's not realistic, it's just a game, as opposed to seeing someone harmed or hurt in real life. I just don't think that they can that anything can really desensitize you to that unless you see that particular, that many tons of people hurt or something. I don't think.
But you do see tons of people hurt in those, and the video games are becoming more and more lifelike every day. And I mean, I've seen some graphics on video games now that I thought was like literally a movie. I walked into a room and thought that they were watching, a movie with actors, and then I took a closer look, and it was a video game. Like, it is very real, and you interact with people over the internet and on headsets, and you're literally talking to these people while you're going out looking to go and kill them. And these characters, usually you're allowed to build them after what you look like. So it's almost like you're putting little creations of yourself on there, and then you and your friends are walking around trying to kill each other.
I think that they're putting themselves in the position of on the video game, actually being there, and they're actually participating in that.
Also, I think though the graphics may be good, but they're not going in and showing like actually what a bullet's going to do or a knife's going to do, and what the person's.
They show blood squirting out, and
they show blood,
and
but
guts and limbs being lost.
That would make them even
people
more prone to do it if they think, oh well, nothing happens. It's just bam, nothing. I think they should know what this is what happens if you shoot somebody or you run over somebody or you break the law.
And I don't think that some like 16 or 17-year-old or even like 13-year-old is going to be as influenced as some of the younger, like the really young kids that see like the violence and the violence in the video games, and they haven't developed their own thought process on how to deal with dangerous situations or conflict situations. And so I think those are the kids that are the most influenced by violent video games, not necessarily like the older kids that you're talking about that know right from wrong and all this stuff. What about the age where they're, still developing their right and wrong reasons and everything?
Well, I don't think that it desensitizes children from violence. But I know, like, if I play a lot of video games, and when I play violent video games, I think it's completely different if I walked out and seen somebody dead laying in the road. I'd be a lot more freaked out than knowing if it was make-believe than if it was real life.
When did you start playing video games? How old were you?
I don't know, like 5. Young. And they were violent back then, too. But don't see me go running around shooting, killing people.
I'm not saying that it causes them to go out and murder people. I'm saying it causes more aggressive behavior. It causes more fights. They tend to be argumentative. They don't get along well with their teachers. Just aggressive behavior. Even some bad behavior. I'm not saying that you're breeding murderers.
I just think if you have a proper home environment and it's a loving, caring home, I don't think that.
Then you wouldn't be playing 9 hours a week on a video game, especially violent. There's only 89%. There's only like what percentage that you can choose from that are non-violent. I mean, what's a parent to do?
Okay, we are going to have one more question, and we're going to come to a conclusion. Researchers have found that video games provide many potential positive aspects, such as hand-eye coordination, visual motor skills, such as resistance to distractions, and their sensitivity to information in the peripheral vision, and their ability to count briefly presented objects more than non-players. Do you think that these positive aspects outweigh the negative in video games?
No, I don't think they outweigh them at all. But I think you could accomplish the same thing without the violence in the video games.
I agree. I don't think that it outweighs it. I think that those skills are important, but I think that you can get the same result not only from non-violent video games, but also from other activities like playing sports or exercising or more beneficial activities, as opposed to just sitting, static in one spot and playing video games.
And as you say, aren't real. A waste of time.
Well, I agree that it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to play a violent video game to get those things, but it just goes into I just don't think that violent video games promote violence, so I don't think that's an issue. And if they're also getting hand-eye coordination and different positive effects from it, I don't see anything wrong with
I just
video
don't understand how
games.
you cannot think that it doesn't affect them in some way when they start out at such a young age and do it every day for so long.
I just still think it's just
It's,
animated,
that's
it's
like
make
it's
believe.
programmed into them.
I don't think it's any different from cartoons.
I don't think it's different from cartoons or movies or
I know a
anything
lot of the
else.
older cartoons are pretty much based on
But I think what they're doing is going like from
violence, like Roadrunner and Coyote.
That
Always
they
trying to
don't
kill,
show
or
anybody
Tom and
getting
Jerry,
really
but-
hurt though. There's no blood and guts and there's no death. Like
and it's so
But you would
stupid
almost-
that you know it's stupid.
But you would almost think that would be worse because then kids would think, well, nothing happens. You die, you come back to life.
No,
As
it's
opposed to the video
but
games,
it's-
you know.
But they're not participating in it, first of all, and second of all, they're cartoon characters. They're not drawn to be people most of the time.
But I
It's not
think that-
people out there, you know,
Well, also if you're
stabbing and
they're
you
just
can't say that there's not a difference between Tom and Jerry and, you know,
Well,
World of Warcraft.
Okay.
But I think they're in this case they're just watching it as opposed to this way they know the consequences. They were doing something. They can see what their consequences. They have or what they do have consequences. Their actions do have consequences as opposed to just watching it on TV and not even being involved in it.
Okay, well said, everybody. That was our discussion panel on violence in video games and if it causes children to be more violent and have behavioral problems. I hope you enjoy.